What else is on their to-do list? Getting their parents back to work, just to name a few things.
As we come on the air right now, you're looking live inside the Capitol hours after a mob stormed these halls. Right there, a live picture, lawmakers trying to certify the 2020 election.
Capitol chaos.
An extraordinary day of violence in Washington.
Trump supporters storming the U.S. Capitol.
They broke the glass,
Forcing their way inside.
Turning what started as a protest into an assault on democracy.
We're live in D.C. for a special edition of WSB Tonight.
An unbelievable day. We start WSB Tonight with a live look at the U.S. Capitol right now, where all is calm. But the world watched in horror earlier today as domestic terrorists attacked our democracy. It all unfolded on live TV for several hours. Tonight, we're hearing police arrested at least 30 people for violating Washington, D.C.'s 6 o'clock curfew. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jovita Moore.
And I'm Jorge Estevez. So much to cover. And let's remember, we're all in this together tonight, as Georgians, as Americans. So we're going to walk you through the latest developments and how we move forward together.
Just hours ago, Georgia's outgoing Senator Kelly Loeffler reversed her decision to challenge the presidential election. Take a listen.
And I cannot now in good conscience object to the certification of these electors. The violence, the lawlessness, and siege of the halls of Congress are abhorrent and stand as a direct attack on the very institution my objection was intended to protect.
And like Loeffler, at least 3 other senators who were originally going to contest the count have decided not to. We're watching that count as we go back live inside the Senate. Lawmakers still trying to certify this election. An effort to block Arizona's results was rejected by a vote of 93-6. We'll follow this live with you throughout WSB Tonight. And as we look live over Washington, D.C., Jovita, incredibly tight security's in place now at 11:03. Wasn't the case earlier, though.
Was not the case at all. We have video that shows the moment the rioters tried to get into the Senate chambers. Take a listen.
they broke the glass. Everybody stay down, get down. Oh my God, they got fire on them.
You see lawmakers there crouching on the floor, pulling out their cell phones to make calls, gas masks like in his hand there. These are extraordinary pictures. The lawmakers, congressional staffers putting on their gas masks during the invasion into the building, many of them taking cover on the floor as Capitol Police did what they could to try to hold back the crowds.
And this image right here really caught our attention today. Remarkable tweet from Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley. He tweeted, Electoral College ballots rescued from the Senate floor. If our capable floor staff hadn't grabbed them, they would have been burned by the mob. That is the very embodiment of American democracy inside these boxes right here. And Channel 2's Dave Huddleston begins our live special Team 2 coverage now from the nation's capital tonight. He and his photographer traveled there this afternoon, even actually before the chaos erupted.
And Dave, tell us what's happening there tonight, where you are. What are you hearing around the city?
Well, it is very quiet right now in the city, the nation's capital here, Jovita and George. You can see the nation's capital behind me, this barricade that put up around the Capitol to keep people out. Of course, you can see some of the cars there for the staff members of lawmakers and, of course, personal protection. Also over here, you can see 2 buses for those who violate the city's 12-hour curfew, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. Again, very quiet, very different from a day of rioting and destruction. A protest that turned into a riot and the destruction of the U.S. Capitol. Lawmakers forced to run for their lives while doing the people's work.
That's an assault on our entire everything this country says it stands for.
Atlanta Congressman Kwanzaa Hall was not inside the Capitol when it was attacked. He told me he was walking there in the middle of the protesters when he got an uneasy feeling.
It was the first time I actually felt like no matter who I am as a congressman or whoever, something could have happened to me. So I felt a slight threat.
Minutes later, President Trump's supporters had taken control. Congress had to postpone the Electoral College vote until Wednesday night. President Trump telling the protesters to go home, but also defiant, claiming victory in a race even the courts say he lost.
We will never give up. We will never concede.
President-elect Joe Biden calling for calm and asking the president to step up. Congressman Hall telling me he hates to see his short term in office end in chaos.
It is so disappointing and disheartening.
And Congressman Hall also telling me that he calls on Vice President Mike Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment to remove President Donald Trump from office because he is unable to do his job. Reporting live from Washington, D.C., Dave Huddleston, WSB Tonight.
And we're hearing that many people talking about the 25th Amendment around the district tonight. Now, Dave, you were and your photographer arriving there into this storm as everything was unfolding on the Capitol. Tell us, were you ever able to get closer to the building earlier today when you first got to D.C.? What was it like, or could you not even get in that area?
No, Jovita, this is the first time we've been here at this location because as all this was unfolding, the city was almost on lockdown. They had patrol cars going up and down the road. They had big dump trucks blocking off roads. It took us a while even just to get to our hotel to drop off our gear so we could get here. And Jovita, one thing I do want to say quickly before we go is the last time I was standing here, you may remember it was this summer. Right. It was for the Congressman John Lewis, his body, light, and state, right on the steps above us. What a difference we've seen in the last 6 months or so here in the nation's capital.
And many Capitol police officers and other agencies will have a lot of questions to answer, Dave, on just exactly how this happened today. Thank you, Dave Huddleston, reporting for us from Washington tonight. You and Brian, stay safe out there. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Now, another live look at the Capitol for you, another perspective. As Dave just mentioned, security extremely tight all around D.C. tonight. George, we're also on alert here at home.
Yes, Jovita, here's new video of the state capitol here. We wanted to really give you an idea of how local police are taking no chances. You see barricades and state troopers in place downtown. Channel 2's Matt Johnson joining us live now outside the state capitol. And Matt, in case anyone missed it, Governor Brian Kemp extended that order involving the National Guard.
That's right. There are some extra security protocols that are in place. Things were really calmed here today compared to what happened in D.C. Still, state troopers say they had about 60 people outside the Capitol earlier today, but it was enough to cause some state election officials to leave as a precautions. On top of that, state Republicans say what happened in D.C. today has no place in a democracy.
That has been a disgrace and, quite honestly, un-American.
Governor Brian Kemp and top Georgia Republican leaders condemned the violence at the U.S. Capitol today.
For those of you that have been calling on a special session, you can now see what that would have looked like.
Whether your candidate wins or loses, an election is no reason to jeopardize the safety of your fellow citizens.
Outside the Georgia Capitol, dozens of Trump supporters gathered earlier without any incidents. Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and election officials did leave the Capitol as a precaution with the help of state troopers. By the late afternoon, the crowd shrunk to just 3 people.
Every Georgian that can hear my voice, put down your differences, put down your partisanship, and pick up your freedom.
As violence unfolded in Washington, D.C., Georgia law enforcement agencies prepared for potential threats here. The GBI sent me a statement that reads in part, quote, "We are in contact with our federal partners, other state agencies, and APD to monitor the situation at the local level." Governor Kemp extended an executive order that activates the National Guard and said they'd be called up as needed.
We have to come together in this state and in this country as we move forward.
Channel 2's Matt Johnson back with us now. And Matt, this year's General Assembly starts at the Capitol on Monday. What do we know tonight about extra security once lawmakers start to convene? That's going to be on everyone's mind.
Yeah, George, and the governor did talk about that today. He said he's met with the Republicans and Democrats to talk about their comfort level with the safety protocols in place. He did say he feels confident the National Guard will not have to be activated on Monday. We'll have to wait and see, George.
All right, Matt Johnson reporting live for us at the Capitol. Thanks so much.
So also today, while that chaos was happening there at the Capitol, we finished 2 historic Senate runoffs Here in Georgia, the balance of power now swinging to the Democrats in the U.S. Senate. Jon Ossoff squeaking out his lead over the incumbent David Perdue by fewer than 35,000 votes. And history in Georgia's other Senate race, Reverend Raphael Warnock beat Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler by 73,000 votes. Now, once the results are all certified, Warnock will become the first black U.S. Senator from the state of Georgia. Here are the current results from the Secretary of State's office. Ossoff leading Perdue by a little more than 27,000 votes. That's with 100% of the precincts reporting. There are still some absentee ballots that have to be counted and processed. Those are not expected, though, to change the results, nor change who is the winner of that race.
And as of right now, we have some breaking news to get into at this point right here. As a result of the occupation of the Capitol earlier today, we now can tell you 4 people have died. That one woman who was shot in the chest, 3 others as a result of medical emergencies. We have more to get to on WSB Tonight. We're asking a local legal expert what's next. Can the 25th Amendment really get invoked? And what about impeachment?
Impeachment here, though, I think should be on the table, and here's why.
Well, that Georgia State professor's answer to why might surprise you, and it has nothing to do with the president's current term.
A winter storm watch has been issued for Thursday evening through Friday evening for the North Georgia mountains. I'll take you through the timing and the snowfall amounts.
First, you're going to hear from one of your Georgia lawmakers who was inside the Capitol when the rioters stormed the building today, as this historic day for our country comes to an end tonight. That story's coming up next. Welcome back to WSB Tonight as we continue to cover the Capitol chaos now going down in American history. Take a look at this picture that kind of sums up the day. One of the rioters sitting inside House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office at her desk in the Capitol, his feet up on the desk, holding his cell phone in one hand. We have more pictures posted for you on our website, WSB-TV.com.
And pictures aren't the only consequence from what happened today. In case you missed it before the break, Washington, D.C. police say 4 people died during the riots. A live picture here at D.C. Capitol Police shot and killed 1 woman. 3 others died from what they're calling medical emergencies. Some of your Metro Atlanta congressional leaders were in the Capitol, Jovita, when this violence erupted.
At least one of them tonight calling for impeachment.
Channel 2 anchor Justin Wilfon continuing our special Team 2 coverage now with reaction from a local congressman who wants the president impeached immediately.
While most of us watch the drama at the U.S. Capitol unfold on television, Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux lived it.
We got an alert that we were to go to a secure location and to lock down and turn off the lights and sit silently.
The Congresswoman from Metro Atlanta's 7th District, who took office only a few days ago, blames the violence on President Trump. She told me over the phone she wants the president impeached immediately.
He turns around and incites a mob to come and attack and invade the U.S. Capitol.
Any concern that calling for his impeachment could lead to a further divide in this country?
At some point, you have to take a stand somewhere.
We also spoke with Metro Atlanta Republican Congressman Barry Loudermilk.
I have already communicated with the White House that we need him to come out strong and ask the people to stand down.
The riot began while lawmakers debated certifying the Electoral College votes. Loudermilk is one of the members of Congress objecting to Joe Biden's victory.
I'm horrified. This is not what we've been fighting for. This is not the way that you carry on your displeasure with things that happened in a rule of law nation like we have.
Channel 2 anchor Justin Wilfon back with us live. And Justin, you have new reaction now, just in tonight actually, from other local lawmakers.
Yeah, Congresswoman Lucy McBath also tweeting earlier tonight, George. Take a look here. She said, "My staff and I are safe. The actions of those seeking to overturn the will of the people are dangerous and destructive, but they will not succeed." And George, the Congresswoman also tweeted later in the evening that she believes the 25th Amendment must be invoked. George?
And Justin, we've been hearing that from other lawmakers as well. We'll have to see what happens over the next few days. Justin Wilfon live for us in Midtown. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we wanted to learn more about the 25th Amendment. So many people are talking about today. In simple terms, it says if the president is unable to do his job, the vice president becomes the commander-in-chief. And tonight, there are reports of resignations inside of the Trump administration and the White House. I asked Georgia State law professor Anthony Michael Christ about invoking the 25th.
Anthony Michael Christ, thanks for joining us. So, of course, a lot to talk about with the events that we're watching unfold at the Capitol. When you first think about responsibility, who is responsible?
Well, I certainly think a number of members of Congress are responsible, including Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, who fomented this entire thing. Members of the Georgia delegation to Congress as well, who have fueled and fed into these conspiracy theories about election fraud, which are just baseless and devoid of reality. As far as the president is concerned, he went to that rally today and he stirred up the folks who later stormed the Capitol, as did his allies like Rudy Giuliani. So, these folks need to be held to account. They need to be asked whether this is worth it. And I think ultimately, as Americans, we have to ask ourselves, is this any way to run a modern democracy?
He has 2 more weeks in office. People are talking about impeachment. They're also talking about the 25th Amendment and the removal of a president. What do you think needs to happen here, or what can happen here?
Yeah, so the 25th Amendment is generally something that I think we consider about somebody who's incapacitated, right? So it's a kind of physical, mental, incapacitation. Impeachment here, though, I think should be on the table, and here's why. If the president is convicted and removed from office, yes, it would take him out of the White House a few days early, but the Senate could ban him from office for life. And I think that might be a healthy move for our democracy, because what we're seeing begin here, I think should end here, right? We need to make a firm stance that what has happened today is unacceptable, and we will not tolerate it in a modern democratic society.
People will say, well, this is public property. This is taxpayer. This is our property. This is what we pay for. This represents us, our house. But what's happening here? Are these federal crimes? Are these crimes against property here?
I mean, certainly these individuals are trespassing. They have interrupted the regular order of government. The Constitution and our laws protect people to engage in peaceful protest, but that is not what is happening here, right? This is both destructive to physical property, and it is deeply, troubling in terms of just operating government. So no, what they have done is very much unlawful. They can be prosecuted for their acts today, and they should be.
Small businesses have gone.
And let's take a live look now on the Senate floor. Lawmakers are continuing the process of certifying the election results inside the Capitol. We're going to keep you updated on any developments about this and also that 25th Amendment coming up on Channel 2 Action News this morning when you wake up.
Picking up the pieces of damage inside the Capitol, but we're also breaking down where some Republicans go from here.
And here's another look at tonight's winning Powerball numbers.
So cloudy, dry tonight into the morning hours. We're looking ahead towards rain and even snow, but we'll start tomorrow for your morning commute with dry pavement, showers building in through the afternoon. Here's tomorrow evening on the weather map. We'll have temperatures in the 40s with showers around. But by this time tomorrow, starting to see a little changeover to freezing rain and snow in the northeast Georgia mountains. But watch what happens through the night into Friday morning. Look at all of this pink, that's wintry mix. It's rain snow mix or melting snow as it falls. North of this blue line, however, temperatures below freezing. That's where we'll have accumulating snow Friday morning and some of that lingering into the afternoon. So snowfall amounts, here's what we can expect. In the North Georgia mountains where you see the blue, 1 to 2 inches, some isolated 3-inch totals there. So for that reason, winter storm watch has been issued Thursday evening to Friday evening. The main impacts are going to be slippery road conditions. Meteorologist Brian Monahan is going to be updating this forecast tomorrow morning.
All right, we're going to have the latest updates for you on what happens at the Capitol live on Channel 2 Action News this morning when you wake up.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is next, and don't forget to stay up.
Jimmy Kimmel Live is next on Channel 2, sponsored locally by the Georgia Lottery. Play Cash Pop from the Georgia Lottery. Just pick one number between 1 and 15 and get winning.
And American Signature Furniture, community coverage you can count on.
Good evening, Georgia. I'm John Crow with your Cash 3, Cash 4, and Fantasy Fight Night drawings. First, let's play Cash 3.
Your first winning number tonight is 7. That's followed by 5. And your final winning number is 9. Again, if you have the number 7, 5, and 9, congratulations. Now let's head over and play Cash 4. Win you some money. Our first winning number is 4. That's followed by 1. Up next, we have 5. And your final winning number is 3. Again, if you have the numbers 4, 1, 5, and 3 in any winning combination, you did win some money. On to Fantasy 5. Tonight's jackpot is $125,000. Your numbers are 42, followed by 24. Up next, we have 3. That's followed by the number 4. And your final Fantasy 5 number is 13. Again, those numbers are 42, 24, 3, 4, and 13. Here tonight's Cash for Life winning numbers 5, 6, 16, 22, 33. And the cash ball is 2. Good luck and play on, Georgia.